Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Get connected, Fitchburg. Sign up for Fitchburg Connect, the city's monthly e-newsletter that keeps you informed about all the events, services, and updates that matter to you. Get it in your inbox once a month. Sign up today to get Fitchburg Connect.
Stay connected everywhere you go. Fitchburg is on your phone and your tablet and your laptop and TV. Download the app. It's free. Access Fitchburg. This is your city at your fingertips.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. I am Julia Arata-Fratta, the mayor of the city of Fitchburg, and I welcome to our first listening session for District 4. So we are organizing in each district, like we did last year. In each district, we are going to have a listening session. This is an opportunity for all of you to, to ask questions, share your concerns. Here with me are the two alders for the district, Micah Ladoucet and Jake Lepper. So they're going to introduce later when they do the presentation. So here we are. So the agenda for today, I'm going to do like a CIPT update. This is our 2-hour meeting, okay? So the first hour, I hope we can finish this before, is an update. Then we have the District 4 update. And then we have our city traffic engineer, Ross Keller, is here. He's going to do an update about the Ficherona project that is affecting this district. And then the fire department deputy chief, Chad Grossen, is here with us over there, and he's going to do an update about the fire department. So the other thing that I will do this year for my 2025 budget that we are already started working for that is we created like a survey. This is the pilot today, the first time that we are implementing this. We are trying to do this online. But since you're here today, we have printed copies. So, and this is a couple of questions that we ask you, and you'll be very honest with us. There are like 6 questions. So if you can, Micah is going to pass around the survey. Before you leave, if you can give us this information. If you want to add something else and you have a space, please, you can write on the back, okay? But we really need your input because a lot of people are saying sometimes, we don't listen to them, we don't align our priority with the rest priority. So this is a way for me that I need to put together the budget for next year. You tell me what are the things that we need to focus, what are the things that we need to cut, or the services that you don't want to see anymore, and how satisfied are you with the city services today? So, okay. Yeah, if you need a pen, please let us know, okay? So, so that one is, also we are going to have this on an online version. So, okay, and the second part, the second hour is open to everyone to ask question, recommendation, concern, you name it. So this is the elected official for the 26-27 budget, Common Council, let's say. So with District 1, Dave Hurst, I saw you coming, there he is. And Joe Maldonado. District 2 is Gabriela Gerhardt. She's also the president of the council. Bill Jetzer. District 3, Logan Reistag and Donald Dansel Jr. And District 4, Jake and Micah, who are here with us. So this is our Aldermanic map. And you can see District 4 is the blue area. So it looks like is a big district geographically, but each district has the same amount of residents, around 8,000 something. So today we are going to discuss some specific issues and projects affecting this area. So I am the mayor, and I have all this role. If you want to know more about what I do, is starting July, in 2 weeks, I'm going to have office hour every Thursday at City Hall from 3 to 4 p.m. So everyone is welcome to talk to me about any issue, concern. You know, it's a walk-in, so I invite everyone. So as you know, my role, my function is a part-time, and I have a full-time job. I am a senior manager at Wagner CPAs. I have been working with Wagner for more than 20 years, and in my role there, I used to do taxes for 18 years, and now I am more doing accounting. I am the CFO of all my clients. So I have I have experience on putting together budget, working with numbers, and I have a bachelor's degree in accounting and an MBA for an American university with a concentration in international business. So this is who I am, and this is all my role. You know, I am in charge of the executive. I am in the executive leadership. I am doing legislative role. Budget and finance is one of my priorities and my important role. Community engagement, and advocacy and policy and emergency management. So I wanted to share some of the data. Our city is constantly evolving and growing. So we have around 21,000 labor force in Fitchburg. Our unemployment rate is 2.7. Our population is around 36,197 people. We are growing at 2% every year, our population. Our equalized values is 6.7 billion. Our last year budget, or this year budget, is around $47 million. This is the operational budget. And then we have the capital budget that is a different budget. We have bond rating AAA. This is something that we acquired in 2004 because we have very good financial policies implemented, and the city has, financially, we have our rules and regulation in order. Our median income is $94,000. The average home valuation in a city home, city of Fitchburg, is around $504,000. And we have a chamber of commerce that is our partner, and we work very closely with them, promoting the city activities. More than 400 members. Our demographics, 63% of our population is white, 16% Hispanic, 11% Black, 5% Asian, and 5% other. So as you know, we are a very well diverse community, and we welcome the diversity in our city. I want to share this with you so you can understand where we are and some of the challenges that we have as a city. In 2015, when I joined the council, we were 26,000 people. 2025, 36,000. So we acquired almost 10,000 people, but we have to remember that we had the annexation of the town of Madison. It was around 1,500 people that we got with the annexation. So, but if you see the trend, we're growing, and maybe for in 2035, maybe if we continue with this trend, we are going to be close to 46,000 people. So, so I want to mention that because with the growth, there are a lot of opportunity, but there are a lot of challenges, a lot, believe me. So what is my vision for the city? Is make Fitchburg the leading suburban city by fostering a welcoming, inclusive, and forward-thinking community where every resident has access to opportunity and every neighborhood is safe, healthy, and thriving. I think everyone wants that. So my priorities, and what I say also the Common Council priorities, are support safe and healthy neighborhoods. We are continue working in the areas where we call underserved neighborhood. In the city of Fitchburg, we have 4 regions, 4 areas that we are working on those areas with the Healthy Neighborhood program. We implemented and invested in housing initiative. Like 2 years ago, we closed, 3 years ago, we closed a very successful tax incremental district We kept those districts open for a year, and we can do that by law, and use that increment to create housing, an affordable housing fund. We got around $10 million, and we are trying to implement some of those initiatives in the last, started in 2024 with some of those initiatives. We are also continued investing. We want to invest in transit to enhance connectivity. So last year for the 2026 budget, the council approved an increase of funding for the expansion of the lines 75 and 65. To have better access between the east part of the city with the west. And we are still working with Metro to do that, because Metro doesn't have the driver and the buses to do that. They told us this year. So the other thing that we are investing is in the BRT. BRT is going to come through the Fish Hatchery corridor. That one is depend if the Madison we are working closely with Madison, and we get the federal grant. The federal grant is about $180 million. And 70% is going to be of the cost is going to be covered by, $180 million is going to be the total cost of the project. Ross, or maybe you know more about that. And the grant will cover 70% of that cost, and 30% it will be covered by the two municipalities.
Where does the grant money come from?
The federal government. The federal government. We are continuing investing in public safety. We have an issue with the staffing. And I'm going to be honest, we have an issue with the two biggest departments, police and fire. And this is something that we know that is a challenging. I know that some of the fire department are here, so thank you for coming to the meeting. And this is something that in 2024, we went to a referendum. The referendum failed. In that referendum, we asked the resident to increase taxes to be able to hire 5 police officers and 6 firefighters, among other things. And the residents say no. So the consequences of that is we can see it's coming organically, affecting us. So it started last year. We did a couple of reorganizational internally. The police department did restructure the police department. We closed the dispatch. We used to have our own dispatch, but also we have Dane County dispatch that we pay for that. So the chief decided that we don't need an internal dispatch, so we are reallocate some of those funding to cover some position in the fire department. And we did also with some department inside City Hall. We used to have a Parks department, and now we put Parks department under Public Works. We created a Community Service department where we included community senior, recreation, and healthy neighborhood all in one department. So we don't need to have 3 directors, we have only 1. We don't need to have a parks director, we have a manager director. So we are looking always for ways to be more resourceful with the limited funding that we have.
Question?
Yes, sir.
Tax incremental district that you talked about, where you took $10 million and put it into basically a housing fund. Mm-hmm. Could any of that money been used for police and fire safety?
No, because we follow a state law, and you also can use the increment for affordable housing. We follow the state law. We cannot use the increment for.
If you hadn't done that, and you allowed the tax incremental district to terminate when it was specified to terminate, the money would have gone back into the general property tax money?
That money was only 1 year, so it's one-time money, okay? So, you know what I mean?
That's $10 million.
The rest of when we closed the district, the rest of the money was allocated in all the jurisdiction. Yes, you want to, yeah. But we kept that open for 1 year more to use that increment that we only can use for affordable housing that can we use that money only for one time?
My point is,
No.
you could have made a decision that said, we're not going to make the tax incremental district go on for another year, and you could have brought the money back into the general property
The money
tax revenue, and you've used for other things other than housing.
The money went to the other. When we close the district, you know, you have all this pile of money sitting there. You distribute with the city, the county, and the school district. Yeah, but with that, what we decided to use, keep it open, the only way that we can keep it open is we are going to create the affordable housing fund. That's it. The money cannot go to other departments.
But if you hadn't kept it open, it would have gone back into the general fund.
It already went. The rest.
How much was that?
What?
When the TID district closed,
Mm-hmm.
and now all of those properties within the district, once it's closed,
Mm-hmm.
their property tax now goes into the general fund. How much was that?
I don't remember. I had to look at that.
You got a
Well,
rough
it had to
idea?
be at least 10 million, right?
The increment 10 million, but the portion for 10 million, yes.
It was 1 year.
But the
$10 million,
problem is
so
that-
it had to be 10 million.
Yeah, but that money can be used as a mention for only one thing. We cannot, you know what I mean?
I understand what you're saying.
Can I jump in? So $10 million is the money from all 4 jurisdictions. So if we didn't close that TID district, we would not have gotten $10 million. We would have gotten, our tax portion is approximately 30% of the tax bill. So that would have been about $3 million. The rest of that money would have been distributed to the school districts, whatever school district that TID was in, and Dane County and MATC. And so then that $3 million would have been just for that single year. The next year, though, all of those properties go back on the tax roll the same way as any other property does.
The increment for Fitchburg is roughly 3 million.
Yeah, I mean, Fitchburg pays about 30% of your property tax bill. So I can't give you an exact number, but it's about $3 million. But it's also $3 million for 1 year.
Yeah.
So
How much was the referendum for?
the referendum was for 3.5 per year.
Yeah.
So that would have
The
covered.
tax increment that was for Fitchburg approximately 3 million, and you had a referendum that didn't pass that was for about 3.5 million.
So the referendum was for 3.5 million every
year.
This was a one-time amount of funds.
Yeah.
So that would have covered less than the
Yeah.
referendum for a single year. And instead, for the Affordable Housing Fund, we collected the entire 10 million from that increment to be used by Fitchburg for the Affordable Housing Fund.
Okay. So the other priority is to be the best employer in the region. You know, we are always trying to focus that we provide competitive salary to our employees with benefit, because, you know, if we start losing people, it's becoming more and more expensive to, to recruit people and to attract people. So, and if we want the best company to come to Fitchburg, because we want good employers, we have to be a good employer too, to our people. Be a sustainable champion city. Last year we approved the sustainable plan. Enhance resident engagement and outreach. This is what we are doing today with those listening sessions. I am doing the open, my weekly open house, what we call it, or office hours. And I am planning to do some coffee with the mayor in the fall. And also the city implemented this year in February, I don't know if you are receiving that, the e-newsletter that we send every month. So I want to tell you how to access to that for the ones that they are not connected. And then the biggest priority is to maintain the fiscally responsible tax policies, you know. So some of the citywide updates. So one of the things I want to mention that the 27-26 mayor's proposed capital improvement plan is out for you to review it. Council members, they have until July 6th to propose amendment. And then by July 28th is when the council will take action on that plan. The capital improvement plan is like our infrastructure budget. is our capital budget. It's a 10-year. So what we do is we determine what are the equipment, what are the vehicles, what are the big projects that the city is going to do in the next 10 years. So we have an idea what is coming in the pipeline and how we are going to fund those projects. The majority of those projects are funded by debt, grant, or mixed with capital levy. And some of them are funded by some state aid that we can get. So the other thing that we are working on that, finalizing the city strategic framework. We started with this project like 2 years ago. We are trying to finalize by the summer. The economic development team is working on the economic development strategic update. We call it City in Motion. It's our strategic planning for practically business development for the next 5 years. The other project that the city will be doing next year, we started this year with the design, is the City Hall renovation. As you know, the City Hall is almost 30 years, Richard, I don't know, Carol, 98 maybe? Yeah. So we are having a lot of issues in that building. We don't have capacity. There are a lot of places or spaces that they are not utilized, correct, you know? So we have, since the police department is moving to the new building in April of 27, we need to renovate all the basement, and also we need to do some remodelation in the first floor of City Hall and part of the senior center.
How much?
How much?
How much are you going to spend on City Hall, and why?
It's around $12 million. It's in the CIP.
So you're going to move all the police out of the lower level and into their own building.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to do a little bit of reno in the basement for offices, I'm assuming. So I don't get why you're going to spend $12 million on City Hall. I don't understand.
Okay.
We're sitting in a building right now, and I was on council, for those of you that don't know. This building should not be here. We should not be in this building because we were lied to as a council. We were told that this building was going to be sold. The only thing that was going to be kept was the well in the back to help pay for one of the two new fire stations. The other fire station was supposed to be sold, and it was supposed to be used. So I have this rather jaundiced view of what you're going to, when you talk about renovating City Hall, given the fact that you can't, at one point this evening, you're going to talk about staffing for one of the largest and most important, city services that we have. To me, I put off the renovation of City Hall. I mean, you renovated some of the chambers, you put new electronics in it, you've got plexiglass or whatever in front of, the people that wait on it. Arguably, I think, I have an issue as a taxpayer with City Hall. I have an issue with what you alluded to with bus rapid transit, because the gentleman said, where's the funding coming from? Federal money is all our money anyway, just siphons and goes up and comes back. And so 30% of it's got to come off the local tax roll. I'm not sold on bus rapid transit. I can only imagine how much you're going to squeeze down Fish Hatchery Road and take lanes away when, maybe you're going to...
We are not taking lanes.
Go with the Madison
Say that again?
traffic.
Taking lanes?
No, because when they did the reconstruction of Fish Hatchery Road was designed with the BRT in mind, so we are not putting the station on the... Ross can explain that. He's our traffic engineer, but we are not putting the station on the middle of the road like Madison did.
I'd like to see where the increment has to go for housing, because I was just on the Department of Revenue's website, and I will grant you that they keep changing the rules all the time, but I don't see on the Department of Revenue's website where the increment has to go for housing. It comes back on the tax rolls, and you could either reduce the tax rate leave it alone, find new, services or whatever. But according to Wisconsin Department of Revenue, it's rather, I don't see on their website in today's current tip that it has to be used for housing initiatives in the state.
I can send you the link, okay?
So you can send me the link tomorrow. You know,
Okay.
only
Okay.
too well my email address.
Yeah. Okay, no, fine. And if you have any concern about the city hall renovation, you have all the right. Please show up to you can reach out to your elders so they can put an amendment, or you can come on, send an email to the council and myself and say, this is ridiculous, we don't want this, or come to our public hearing. We have our public hearing last week, no one showed up, but Richard, you have all the right, and send us an email, come to our next public hearing on July 28 and say, I don't want this, and you guys have all the right to your opinion. I am telling the city hall renovation is going to be a renovation only the basement, the first floor, and the third floor, and part of the senior center. This is what it costs so much.
I have a question on the CIP in relation to the teen center. The teen center is still in the CIP, and it's roughly, I believe it's $3 million now. You're going to buy a building for $1.35 billion, and you're going to add renovations to it to, I believe, the cost of $1.65 million. You're going to borrow $2 million to do it, and you're getting $920,000 or $975,000 or something from the county, which, by the way, we pay a good portion of that as well. So there's a YMCA, as I understand it, that's going to be going into
Makia,
a
yeah.
location approximately 5 minutes away from where you're proposing to put the teen center.
Yeah.
Why are we being put on the hook in the CIP process for a $3 billion teen center when a YMCA is going up 5 minutes away from it?
First of all,
How are you going to finance the operating costs?
oh, this, I want to mention that. I want to mention.
That's going to be my follow-up.
I want to mention this, and I have mentioned this several times, and council members here, they know, the teen center is not going to move forward until we find the money for the operational, okay? And I have said that, and I have a lot of people like, you are going to say great, and I have a lot of people that they are mad at me because I'm saying this.
It used to be a policy on the city council that you could not put something in the capital CIP unless you had a corresponding line in the budget that was approved.
Yeah, and this is why we continue doing that.
Now, okay, so
Yeah.
why is it in the capital budget?
This is still in the capital budget because in case, eventually we can find the money.
Where is it in there?
We move it to like 28, 29,
I think
something
it's
like
29. And yeah, that's absolutely from
Yeah.
the first year, like for this year's CIP, there is nothing that can go in there if there's operating money that goes along with it unless that money is available. For things in future years, I mean, those are projects that are still being vetted. Those are projects that can still be moved. Those are projects that aren't putting actual money into the budget right now.
Yeah.
But I think that most of us are on board that unless there is money to run a center,
we are not gonna do
the
it.
capital cost isn't going to be spent. And like the money that would be found for that would be not just us raising your taxes and bringing money to, like, there would have to be some sort of partnership going on. I know there's partnerships that could be explored with school districts, or like you said, the YMCA, it could be something that could possibly be a partnership. And so like that would account for some of that as well.
I want to
just
tell you
be
why
clear
it was
there.
still in the CIP, because we were having conversation with the Verona School District. That they will be, they were thinking about helping us to, to cover the operational cost. When the school, the elementary school coming, but that elementary school is not going to come maybe in the next 5 years because attendance is going down in the Verona School District, so they are delaying that school construction.
School that's in Jamestown?
Yes. So I was in last year. I had several meetings with the Verona school superintendent about how we can work this out with the teen center. But eventually, when they got the final numbers, they say, we are delaying the school, and then okay, that one was, this is why we kept it in the CIP, because maybe we were trying to work with them. But yes, so this is what happened. The teen center, until we find the money for the operational cost, we are not going to build it. The other thing that we need to work with Dane County, because they gave us $1 million, so I don't know if we need to return the money or, you know, but this is something that we need to have some discussion. Where I am? Oh. We are doing a lot of work on road resurfacing and reconstruction. Ross is going to talk about that. And also, we just hired our consultant to do the revision of the comprehensive plan and the zoning code. The money from, so don't kill me yet, the money for the consultant for the comprehensive plan came from till closure. When we close the tax incremental district, we use some of those money to save for those consultants to do the revision. Our zoning code has not been revised, never. So we need to do it. There are a lot of, it's a very old, very strict. So, so we are working with the same consultant is going to do the revision of the 2 plan. The comp plan is going to take around 18 months. And after the comp plan is done, it's going to start the zoning code. So this is going to be almost a 3-year project. The other thing that we are working with other 6 municipalities is exploring EMS and fire consolidation. So we know that it's getting very, very expensive to maintain, to staff our fire department and EMS departments. So a lot of other municipalities around the state are looking at this. And then we already hired a consultant that already started working with 6 other municipalities on how we can do this. You know, the report is going to be done at the end of the year, and then we're going to determine if it makes sense for Fitchburg to do it or not. So we are working with the municipalities that are participating is Oregon, Brooklyn, Monona, McFarland, Stoughton, and what is this? And Fitchburg, 6. Okay. So the results are going to be at the end of the 4th quarter. So we need to decide what to do with this. The other thing that we're working with CARPC is the Oregon and Fitchburg. This is a shared development that the council member are going to explain what it is. Other thing that continue working behind the scene is economic development. As you notice, there were a couple of big announcements this week, like Blue Plate, the new hotel, the YMCA is coming, and our economic development team is working very, very hard because we have a couple of other very good projects coming in the pipeline in the east and the west part of the city, good businesses.
Do we have a grocery store anywhere near in the east?
We're working on that. We are working on that, yes. So that one is going to be great for that area, the east part of Fitchburg. Okay, I mentioned that. So I mentioned what it is. So in the next 10 years, you can see that $11 million for the fire department, $6 million for police, plus the $31 million for the police facility, $14 million for parks. Public works take a lot, you know, $40 million, and roads, reconstruction, and street, $51 million. This is all the projects in the next 10 years. Okay. I mentioned the housing plan. You want to know more? And then the police facility is open on April 27. And how to stay connected with Fitchburg. So you know, you go to the website, you can find Notify Me, and you enter your email or your cell phone number, and you're going to get text or information about what is happening in the city. We have the e-newsletter, so you can scan this QR code and you can register to get your monthly e-newsletter. Some of us, I have my quarterly newsletter. Some of the elders here, they have monthly newsletter too, or blogs. This is another way. And the new thing is a new mobile app. You can download this for free, and you can listen to our meetings or everything that is happening in the city. So this is on your phone. So this is something new. And because we are, what time is it? Then you have time. What I want to mention about, you can look at the 2026 budget in this link. For the 2020 budget that we already started, but then I want to tell you that July 28th is the council will act on the capital infrastructure plan. August 26th is the committee of the whole, where we are going to talk about the 27 priority for the budget. September 18th, my budget has to be out. October 13th, Common Council, there is a public hearing for all of you to show up and say, we don't like this, we want this, October 14 are the elder amendments due, and November 10 is when the council will act and adopt the budget. So that one is, so you have an idea that in the next couple of months I will be very busy working on the 2027 budget, along with the finance director and the administration. Okay, that's it.
Now you have to listen to me.
Yes.
Actually, before you go, can I ask a question? I'd like to talk about the referendum that failed and the public response to that and government's response to that. If I recall correctly, through that survey process, and remember one, it was a very expensive and very extensive process, and there were a lot of questions in there. What are your priorities for the city? And as I recall, public safety was a #1 priority for the majority of the citizens in Fitchburg. And that portion of the ask for the large referendum would have been covered by the smaller referendum number that I believe most of the people who answered the survey said that they would approve and they would vote for. But instead, the council chose to go for the big referendum, which failed. And then you instituted a wheel tax, which I don't know if we've heard any update on how much revenue we're getting for that. And maybe the transportation engineer can tell us if that money is being spent for the roadways or whatever that's being used for, and how much it is. Would that have been enough money to cover the $1.4 million or whatever it was that we would need for the public safety staff expansions or not? And frankly, as a citizen who participated in that process and who's been involved in city government since 99 or something. I don't remember what year I was elected the first time. And I'm still involved in it, and I love this city. But I just don't like it being characterized, well, the city said they didn't want police and fire, because that's not true at all. I did doors for 12 years in the city of Fitchburg, for myself and for other alders and for mayors. And I never heard one time at a neighbor's house that they thought we needed less fire department or that we needed less police. To me, it's part of the sacred contract of government that we expect for our tax dollars to be paid for certain services to be provided by the city. We're expanding. As you said, we've got 10,000 more people than we had before. Those 10,000 people all need police and fire. I've had EMS at my house 4 times in the last year, unfortunately. We needed them, and they were there. We need more police. We have more apartments. We have more development coming. We are doing much denser development than we've ever done. Houses are closer together. They're so close, you can't even plant a tree between them. And that creates issues for fire, because you got one house on fire, you got to worry about the one that's on the back side, the one that's on the side where the fire of the house is. We just had one of those in Renaissance. And what I worry about is, and then we have these giant buildings. What do we have, 7 stories or 8 stories going up?
Oh, and
Ned's building on
Fish,
Road.
it's going to be 7.
So you got 7-story building going up. We're building apartment buildings that have bedrooms with no windows. I'm worried about reducing fire staff. I just wanted to get that out there. I think we need to have fully staffed fire trucks. We're going to need more of them. We're probably going to need another fire station at some point. And to Richard's point, that's why this building was supposed to be sold, because we were going to put a station in the Fish Hatchery Road corridor so that we could have put the Signing Road station further east. So, I think there's a lot that gets lost in people getting on council and serving for 2 years or 4 years and going away, because you forget that there's this continuum that has to go on. And we've been talking about police and fire staffing since I can remember. And every year, our council figured out a way to add police and fire positions into our budget. And to be honest with you, I think that should be the highest staffing priority. And I know people will say, well, that's not fair because we need more people in this department, more people in that department. Yeah, we do, but you know what? People aren't going to die if they're working a little harder. So that's what I wanted to say. I just really
No, Carol, Carol, I get it and I understand, and is my number one priority working in the 27 budget is I'm gonna add position. I'm gonna try to find the money whenever. If I had to delay road construction and then don't complain, I will do it. But I will do, and the council they know because we are, discussing this. We are gonna do whatever it takes to do that. And I agree with you. The problem is, if we go back to 2015 or before that, the ideal is every time that we add 1,000 people in the city, we should be hiring one fire department and one police officer. That one will be the norm. Unfortunately, many, this is not Julia's problem, or I inherited a big problem when I became mayor, okay? This is many administration, more than 20 years that we haven't done that. So we do some, maybe hire one here and one there. And this is something that we need to, as a council member, we need to start determining, okay, when we put, this is what the comprehensive plan is gonna be a good plan to determine, okay, if we are bringing 1,000 people more on X amount of new housing, what is what are the resources that we need to also increase? And when we talk resources, we talk about staffing. And we need to have a plan. For the vehicle registration fee, we used, we're collecting around $1 million per year. Most of the money went to $500,000 went to cover the operational cost of the police facility. The police facility will cost $500,000 to be open, okay? So, and redirecting money from the transportation fund to fund the operational cost for the police facility. Then we use like $200,000 or $300,000, $200,000 for the new EMS contract that we have starting January 1st. The city of Fitchburg had to pay almost 67% of the district budget is our portion. Before it was 50-something. So we have a huge increase there to cover too. Because, it's the fair thing to do, because Verona was almost subsidized enough for many years. And the rest of the money we use it to some transport, the expansion for the 65 and 75, and the rest we use it to increase the base wage for the pay-on-call firefighter. When I became mayor, a pay-on-call firefighter was making, the base wage was $9 an hour, okay? $9. So, so in the last couple of 3 years, we have been adding in the budget, increase that until, I think now is $15 an hour they are making, plus if you have a certification, they have a $1 here or $1 there. We did that because we were not comparable with the other fire departments, and also to try to increase the pay-on-call, attract more pay-on-call to our fire department, to alleviate, overtime and all of that. So this is how we used the $1 million that because we really needed to have the money for the police facility, because it's open next year, you know, we need the money, you know, for insurance, the janitor, you know, electricity, you name it. So this is how we use it.
So is that $500,000 pledge to do those things going forward every single year?
What?
You said 500,000? Yes.
Yeah, it's cost.
So you're going to take the 500,000 from the wheel tax every single year as an operating cost?
Yeah.
Just as a rather curious thing, you're asking everybody that has a car registered in the city of Fitchburg to pay for things that aren't really transportation related.
No, what you do, Richard, is pretty common, and we are not doing something illegal here. You know, what we're doing is that money, the $1 million, go to the transportation fund.
I'm not saying
no.
I'm just finding out.
No, but this is what we're doing, Richard. The $1 million come to the transportation fund, and the levy money that we already, every budget, we allocate $1 million, something or more, for the transportation fund. We release that to cover the other expenses.
So yeah, but you're presenting the wheel tax as something that is going to be used for transportation objectives in the city of Fitchburg. And basically you're saying that $500,000 now will be each year used for something else.
No, the money goes to the transportation fund. What we are doing is releasing money.
Yeah, I don't care where it goes from the standpoint of you can put it any way you want, but if you're using it for something other than transportation, you're blowing smoke to us.
No, just transferring it from one fund
to another one.
So,
yeah.
Here's how I'm going to look at it, and then I'm going to do my thing because I don't want to get us off track, and I want there to actually be question and answers. That's great. We're going to have a question and answer session.
Okay.
And I would like to have the full hour for question and answer, so I'm going to go really fast, and I'm going to give my little spiel. The wheel tax was passed right before I started on council, which is I kind of observed it as I was preparing to be on council. And so to speak to Carol's point, a lot of what people said to me when I was running was the same thing that you just said. We would have supported a public safety only referendum, and I understand that. And what I saw happening with the wheel tax was the city trying to say, how can we support some of that public safety money, especially some of the money that we had to do, which is the police facility. We were building the police facility. We had to have $500,000 a year to run the police facility. And so how can we take some of that referendum that was public safety focused and raise the money for it in a different way because it didn't come from the referendum. And that is what I saw them doing with the wheel tax. And so you can't really...
It says online that the money for the wheel tax has to be used for transportation.
I understand that, but there is...
I'm just telling you what
what we're having here is two different arguments. Like you want us to have raised the money for the public safety portion of the referendum, and what the council did was find a way to raise the money for the public safety portion of the referendum. I wish we didn't have a wheel tax too. It's regressive. It isn't the right way to raise money for something like that. Like it's a fee. It's not, I would rather things be tied to your property taxes so that, people who have a smaller home pay less and people who have a larger home pay more. Like that is fundamentally what I wish it was. But that option wasn't open to us or open to the council at that time after the referendum failed. And so like I said, I was not there, I didn't take that vote. I'm sure it was a tough vote for many of the people on council, but that is what my understanding of the thinking that went through that. Can I do my fun stuff? Sorry.
I have a question about the structure of the meeting because so many people are asking questions.
Yes.
I'm really interested in the presentations, and I thought the last hour was more fun.
Okay.
All right. No more questions. No. All right. I'm going to do my spiel and then.
I mean, I'm not saying you have to, but it's true.
I think we're going pretty fast. I'll try and go fast, okay, and then we can do the presentation and then, So I have kind of like a more District 4 centric update. I'm the District 4 alder, so I'm going to give that. Parks, Greenfield Park is going to get their playground replaced this year. We have not gotten designs back for it yet, but when we do, I plan to schedule like a meet and greet or a meeting in Greenfield Park for the residents. We will probably have like a couple options. That's usually how we've done things, and then we can get some feedback. Everyone in the neighborhood is really active. I'm sure they'll show up and give feedback. So that's a good development. The Wildwood South tennis courts are just having like crack filling and resurfacing done on them just to try and do some maintenance to make them last longer so we don't have to do like a full reconstruction of them because that's very expensive. Kids Crossing and McKee Farms Park is currently in design to be replaced. I know if some of you have kids, you kind of seen the kind of status of that. I am very involved in this project. I love this project. It's very important to me. My 10-year-old daughter will be extremely mad at me if it doesn't turn out beautifully. And so if you have any questions on that, feel free to reach out. From a housing and business standpoint, there's the apartments going up right over here on Lacey and Seminole. There is a 80 affordable senior apartments on Nesbitt Road right next to Gymfinity that is currently going up. The Rowan, which is next to the Juniper, which is way down on the east side on Lacey, but is technically District 4 because it's south of Lacey. So that's the second building. It's going to be right behind the Juniper. And then Gigi's Playhouse, which is right next to that, is building a building that's an organization that helps families and kids with Down syndrome. And they're going to open in August. And so we're really excited that they got all the funding they needed to build that.
Is there any retail in the Newcomb apartment?
Not in the Newcomb apartment. So they do plan to have retail so that is their first building, and they plan to build, farther back on that property. And I think the plan is to have retail as they get closer to Hop House in one of those buildings. One thing that's cool about that is that if you have seen like the houses up on like lifts right now, so someone actually bought that house and is moving it to an area in Fitchburg in the one of the farm properties. So I think that's pretty cool. And the one thing so infrastructure. So here's the I'll let Ross talk more about this, but Fitzgerald Road, he'll talk about. Lacey Road is going to be done in 2028 from Seminole to Fish Hatchery, and then Irish Lane's currently scheduled for 2030. There's the correctional facility. There's a youth correctional facility being built down by Oregon, where the current one is. The solar farms, the Sunnyside is opening a 20 megawatt solar, and then that's going to have battery storage in it as well. And then we already talked about bus rapid transit. There's a future project now in the CIP to signalize Osmondson and McKee. Ross thinks by 2032-ish, there will be enough traffic at that intersection to warrant having like a traffic light there. And I know I cross that intersection a lot. It's kind of visually, it's kind of hard to get across, so it should make things a little easier there. And then the one thing I left off here that I think will unite everyone in the room is that the AMC Theater parking lot has been resurfaced. And so, yeah, we can all agree on something. Is there the clicker? Thank you. This is Quarry Ridge, the mountain bike park, which is over on Fitzgerald Road. There's a organization called Corp that manages a lot of those trails for us. They're going to be building what's called a progressive learning area. So there's going to be like a start ramp, and then there's going to be 4 or 5 different ramps that get progressively harder so that people can learn mountain biking. So that's a kind of a cool project that's going to be going in there. And then go forward. Yeah, and then I always like to point out District 4 contains almost all of the agricultural land in the city. And so, this is the city and this is District 4. And so we have like a huge portion of the land. And like I said, 49% of the land is farmland. And so I just like people to remember that. That's going to be a big part of when we talked about redoing the comprehensive plan. So I sit on the Ag and Rural Affairs Committee. And so we are going to have them be really involved in conversations about farmland preservation, how and where we expand the city when we do, and then kind of the future land use and urban development, and all of those questions are going to come through that committee as well, so that we can keep their perspective on it.
Does that include the areas that were supposed to be for DNR wildlife? Like Swan Creek, that area, there was areas designated for wildlife that have been taxed, and they're building all the housing projects that's there. So as all these apartments and everybody's moving in here, that's what you're overseeing is what's going to happen, balance with the wildlife as well, where they're being displaced.
Yeah, not as much with that, but I can get you information on where we can go with that.
I was wondering what areas will be protected that
Sure.
protected that no longer are. And so I was wondering with this expansion how that's going to be balanced.
Yeah, and we try to work really closely with the DNR when we do that, we go through that review and everything, but that's tends to be more with our planning department, and then like the agricultural and rural affairs is more devoted to like the actual farmland, the agriculture land in the city. But we can definitely talk more. You want to go?
Yeah. So I'll just introduce myself since this is my first listening session. So I'm the other District 4 older with Micah. My name's Jake Lepper. I just moved into Fitchburg in 2023. And then I've been on the council since last November when I was appointed initially to fill Nicole's spot when she resigned, and then I was elected in April. So thank you. My background, I have a decade. I've worked in policing for 10 years. I also have a EMS background, and I served in the Wisconsin National Guard for a number of years. And then as far as the council goes, I'm also on the EMS Commission and the Community and Economic Development Committee. So one of the big things that I've heard lately was people have a lot of concerns about TDS. So we have continued as a city to have conversations with them to follow up when they're not delivering on their end of the bargain as far as restoring people's yards when they're installing their new infrastructure. So if you do have issues, they've been most recently going through Seminole Forest. I would encourage you to reach out to their construction line to bring it to their attention, but also feel free to contact Micah or I, and we can follow up as well. As far as Seminole Forest as well, on Schumann Drive, people have expressed concern about, this is coming up from Stoner Prairie, the traffic here and people speeding through the stop signs. So the city sent a survey to the residents that were expressing concern about the traffic in this area. There's some more longer term solutions like a sidewalk that could be explored, but I'm gonna continue staying in contact with those residents and hopefully put in some quicker and shorter term traffic calming solutions that could mitigate the issue a little bit and address some of those safety concerns that folks are having.
Do you know who that survey was sent to?
Jeff, do you remember his last name?
His last name.
I can.
Yeah, Jeff.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you get,
yeah.
So the Seminole Forest Neighborhood Association should be on.
So a lot of that traffic coming off the road is actually still on Prairie residents. We're going back and forth with Park and to Seminole Pool. So my kids ride their bikes up and down that trail every day. It's absolutely concerned.
Yeah.
I would encourage you to involve the Stoner Prairie neighborhood as well in that discussion.
Oh, sure.
Because a lot of our children are on that trail.
Okay, great. Can I do this? Yeah. So yeah, we had a question about Schumann, just storm sewer in Schumann. The area around Schumann Drive supports upsizing the storm sewer, but it's not really cost effective to do that until the next time that there is a road reconstruction. Otherwise, you're just tearing up the road twice. So they did find like a bottleneck at the end of the system that can be removed to kind of improve the flow until there's time to do that reconstruction. But then there's still, our stormwater engineer is still working on just a final scope and schedule for that. And actually, I'm going to say one thing. I kind of jumped in. I'm Micah. I am your other alder. I acted like you all know who I am. I've been your alder for a little over a year. And so, yeah, but I'm just kind of introducing myself. And I appreciate just the context from the people that have been in the city for a long time. Like I said, I've only been your alder for a year. And I think in that year I've said many, many times, like, especially to staff, and like you are constantly just having new alders come in, and a lot of that history gets lost, and a lot of that, gets lost in translation or lost in the shuffle. And so I really appreciate having people here, and I appreciate having you reach out and like providing some of that history and some of that. And so like, please don't ever hesitate. So thank you.
So I had a number of residents reach out to me about the fact that the basketball hoops in Seminole Glen got replaced with 2 hoops to 1. This is actually an old version of the presentation because I did not submit an amendment for this. But a number of the residents expressed interest in fundraising for this, so I'm going to work with them and with the Parks Division, even though it's technically usually against the city parks policy to have 2 hoops on a half court. I'm going to continue to stay in contact with the Parks Division to see if the residents are willing to fundraise for it, if we can maybe facilitate for that for them. This was the project that Micah developed, the J.T. Klein Senior Living on Nesbitt Road. That just broke ground 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, 3 weeks.
3 weeks ago. And then Edgewood College is going to be building their new athletics facility. Their director of athletics just reached out to both of us a couple weeks ago saying that they're going to be breaking ground in the end of July after short oat season. So this should be coming to you very shortly. It'll be on the corner of Lacey and Seminole Highway.
Do you know what is going to come in the first phase? You know what I mean? Like it's only the field, the soccer field, and.
I think, yeah, I don't think they're building the giant building complex first. I think it's just going to be the baseball diamond and the. Soccer.
Okay. That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question about Kids Crossing Park.
Yeah.
Because we've lived there long enough that when that was first built, a lot of it was built with donations that people wanted to do. Is there a friends group that has been started for that? Because the other thing that was going to go in there was playground equipment for disabled, and has that been incorporated into it? And is there a friends group for Kids Crossing?
So there is a new Friends of the Parks group, but I don't believe it's devoted to Kids Crossing specifically, so I don't know if there's been fundraising around that specifically.
And a lot of that was built with private donations of lumber and labor. So
yeah, but we cannot do it anymore.
Enough people in the community that like that probably would step up again.
That may be true. I think I think currently wood as a material for playground equipment is just not really the standard practice anymore. And so that's and also from a volunteer standpoint, there are, it's, like you said, it's been 25 years. The liability portion of it becomes an issue for the city as well, in terms of like having volunteers building things on city property. It's not saying that I wouldn't welcome that and I wouldn't want that as a possibility, but that you do have to balance those concerns. To answer your second question, absolutely, around the inclusivity of the playground, that's been a big piece. So from the designs that I've seen, so basically the main structure it's ramped up into it, and I think you can get essentially up the ramp across one of the bridges into one of the other things so that whole like kind of main section of it is inclusive. So we're really happy with that part of the design as well.
Question on Irish Lane?
Oh, can we wait until the chief finish his presentation? Okay. Patrick? Okay. Oh, no, who's next?
I just had a quick question about the dedications at Kids Crossing. I received questions from community members who donated to it, and they're wondering what's going to happen to their
the bricks? Yeah, we've already talked to the design consultant about making sure that we, as part of demolition, preserve those and incorporate them into the new design some way. So yeah, so that's in the works. Yeah.
Chief.
Yeah. So I know. Thank you. So I know that everybody is very interested in getting into more of the question and answers period here. So I'm going to give just a brief update on the fire department. As of currently, we responded to 1,239 calls this year, which is just shy of a 4.5% increase over where we're at this time last year. If we continue to trend on the calls per month till the end of the year, we'll be right about the same call volume that we were last year, which was just shy of 3,000. It'd be just slightly an increase of almost 1% if we stay on the call volumes that we have for the next 6 months. So currently, right now, we are at 19 and full as far as full-time staff, and 21 in our paid-on-call staff, and then we do have a number of 7 for support staff. So we are having 1 full-time individual leave, but we have, with the PFC, got approval for the hiring of the next one that will start shortly after the current member leaves. So Our average response times are just shy of 6 minutes between the two operating firehouses of Firehouse 2 and Firehouse 3. So I know that there's other questions, but that's our operating picture right now. Any questions on that? Yes.
Is it true that every time you get an EMS call, you send the truck?
No, we don't. It's dependent on the severity of the call. So depending on the level of that EMS call, depends on if we go with the ambulance or if we don't. So any higher priority calls, definitely if it's somebody that is in respiratory arrest, we call pulseless non-breather, we automatically go with them. If we have a higher priority call, we will automatically get paged out. Ambulance gets sent first. After Dane, or the Dane County 911 Center gets all the information, then they may add an engine to the call. But the lower priority calls, we do not respond with the ambulance unless the paramedics ask us to respond with them. So we do not respond on every EMS call in the city of Fitchburg.
Chad, do you still have to send an engine when you go to a multifamily building because the engines have the knockbox keys?
So certain buildings we have labeled as high risk. So then we'll send multiple units to that. So both companies out of each firehouse and then an OIC. So we constantly have 9 currently right now the way we operate, there's 9 that are on shift at all times. 4 at each firehouse, 4 at Firehouse 2, 4 at Firehouse 3, and an OIC. That's what we operate with. That's all you got for a 24-hour period. So, and we cross-staff each firehouse, meaning that majority of the time, our engines, our pumpers go out the door first. But a lot of times, we have to, and the term cross-staffing is that they might have to come off that engine immediately to switch over into another piece of apparatus like our ladder truck over at Firehouse 3 or our heavy squad over at Firehouse 2. So that takes a couple of extra seconds to switch over to those apparatus. And nowadays, seconds matter in our line of work. It's not minutes, it's now seconds. Yes, sir.
Do you have any information in regards to calls to apartment complexes versus the rest?
We do, but I don't currently have that information with me right now.
Higher or lower?
Oh, we go to our fair share of multi-unit apartment buildings.
This is going to be a follow-up later on, but I can ask it now. How many people here realize that Fitchburg per capita has more crime than the rest of the county? Chief Morales came to our Rotary Club here in Fitchburg and announced that about 2 months ago.
Well, I know that Madison is now
Dane County.
Dane County. Yeah, I was aware of that. Like, if you look at the crime rates for even, let's say, Long Beach, California, we're like
We're not looking. We're in Fitchburg, Wisconsin.
No, I know. I'm
Don't
saying
compare, please.
that it's too bad it's coming from the West Coast where you want something that's safer, and unfortunately, it's not as people are coming here. And so it's just interesting that to move here and to think that it's going to be safer, and then you find that the numbers are,
Right.
and no, people don't know that.
I've been in real estate for 40 years. I've never seen more apartment complexes go up ever. And when you have apartment complexes versus owner-occupied, kids get better grades, less crime, less fire calls, less police calls. So we have a problem with not building owner-occupied units. We have a problem with affordability and trying to throw all that in there, and you can't. What Fitchburg can do, and McFarland did do this years ago, is have a moratorium on income properties. You want to build in Fitchburg? Put up a condo. Well, the developers can't afford it. That's what you get the kickback from. Well, whose fault is that? Look it up. Go to 2012 and you can see who caused that problem. So if you look at how can we fix getting less calls, police and fire, owner occupied. Just want to put that out there.
Okay, are you?
Just one other thing, I'd like, on a happy note, we just brought on 3 new interns. Our intern program has been with us for 51 years. It's a great program. A number of your full-time staff are past interns of that program, so we're happy to report that. And also I want to thank all of our dedicated members on the fire department. They train on a daily basis. They are highly dedicated in serving the citizens of the city of Fitchburg and highly trained to make sure that we're meeting your needs. So I want to thank them for their service. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but given what is happening in Fitchburg and your experience so far, what is your opinion about what should be the staff, the fire staff, versus what it is now?
Right. Well, I'm going to reiterate what Chief Sarver shared with the council last Tuesday night. Is somebody, I think, kind of asked the same question or similar question of how many firefighters should we have, currently, and he used he brought up the number 3.5. So we have 3 shifts, A, B, and C. So for each shift, we have a lieutenant and a firefighter at each firehouse. But each of those seats, if we were to fill them all with full-time, should be 3.5 per seat. So that covers the 3 shifts, but then has that half firefighter between the 3 shifts. So you do the math, but that's what the chief shared, and that's what I'm going to support with the chief. And unfortunately, he couldn't be here tonight, so that's why I'm here in front of you.
Jay, your staffing model that you're currently running is still an offshoot from 35, 40 years ago. And clearly the city is, and I've yelled at numerous, it's good to see Richard, I've yelled at him numerous years. And since we moved here in 1972, and it was volunteer back then, and growing up with Herman and the rest of the gang, the staffing model that you're currently using is definitely not working. Clearly, we can see that. How many times have you gone, or as the chief, whether you talk about Chief Fulmer, Chief Pickering, Chief Hertzler, Chief Huber, Little Joe, what was the last name? Palmer, thank you. How many times have they gone to the city and the alders have shut them down every time? And every one of the alders that are here, if you want, I can get back to my house, get my notes out to tell you when you told us no. When you talk about going from a pay rate of $9, it used to be 3 1/4, and we used to get an extra quarter for if we made extra runs, way back when. So I guess I'm curious at how much pushback have you gotten from the city based on the latest, news and why a lot of us are here. Clearly you're getting pushback that it's not a spending problem, it's not a budget problem, it's a spending and a choice problem that you all seem to have a problem with. And since everybody in the city wants public safety, police and fire and EMS, and trust me, Ross has been to my house numerous times, well, not him personally, but when I tried to do something stupid that I shouldn't do at 60 years old. I guess that's the question I have, is when are we going to start embracing and get rid of this volunteer model that clearly doesn't work anymore?
Okay, so that one is one of my priorities, to change the model, because right now it's about, Chief Sarver told me that it's 50-50, 50% full-time, 50% part-timers, and the idea is to move to 75 and 25, because you need to have that 25% of pay on call, because that one creates your pipeline for the future, future position. So that one, the idea when we went to the referendum, the idea went to,
So is that the staff, Madam Mayor?
Yeah. 2
stations, and that's what it requires. And we won't get into automatic aid, mutual aid, and MAVIS and talk about all that stuff. But I guess that's the question, and your consolidation is not going to save money. Everybody seems to think that.
Yeah, we know.
We can take you to North Shore, we can take you to South Shore, we can take you all over the state.
Yeah, I get it. I know that the consolidation is not going to save money in the short term, but it's going to save money, a lot of money in the long term.
No, it doesn't. I know
Well-
the fire chiefs in those districts, ma'am, and you are 1,000% wrong.
Well, I have been in those meetings with the consultant that they did other consolidation in other parts of Wisconsin, and they are telling us that, it works in the long term. You know what I mean?
It works, but it doesn't save money.
No, it doesn't save money in the short term, but it saves money in the long term.
It's cost avoidance in the long term.
It
It
save-
never saves money.
It save money. It will save money in capital because if we do like a regional district with some of our municipality surrounded by us, we don't need to have each municipality a $3.5 million truck. We don't need to have 6 chiefs, so we don't need to, maybe when we decided that maybe we need another fire station, we need to be strategically where we are going to build that fire station if we are going to go to a consolidation model. You know what I mean? So I get it. In the short term, we know we are not going to save money, but it's going to save money in the long term. And we need to look at the number. They are working on that. Maybe when they bring the study, we say, it doesn't make sense. We are going to continue with the same model that we have. So we are exploring, you know what I mean?
North Shore, what they did,
Okay.
because several of those municipalities have pulled out,
Okay.
and that's the Mequon Whitefish Bay area.
Yes, I will say we are exploring here. Okay, we haven't made a decision until we see what the result of the study. But yeah, but yes, I agree with you. What we need to go more to a model that is more full time. Yes, and I get it. And this is the idea. And what I want to share here is my fellow alder put together this. The clicker. I have the clicker.
Yeah, give me that. Sorry. So I'm going to say can I respond just once to that too? From a priorities versus budget standpoint, I think that there are different things in the short term versus the medium term versus the long term. So we are right now, it is a budget situation. So there is, the 2026 budget is locked and we are over that overtime budget, and that is what prompted the chief to come forward with this plan. And I don't like this plan. I know you guys don't. Let me speak and I'll totally give you a chance. So let me speak and I'll totally give you a chance. So in the short term, we have to be able to keep the 2026 budget stable. And so that is what led to this decision. In the medium term, and that is next year's budget, like 2027, we are starting working on it soon. It takes effect January 1st. The mayor has expressed this. I am the chair of the finance department. I am completely committed to finding the money in that budget for additional firefighter staff position. That is extremely important to me. It's my #1 priority for this budget cycle is finding that money. And I am currently, as we are going through the CIP, looking for money in there that is also part of our operating budget that can be redirected into this on an ongoing basis for operating budget for firefighter staff positions. So that is my goal. That is the medium-term goal. That is what we are currently working on, and that is my #1 priority for the budget for 2027. Long-term, I understand you have an example of a consolidation that didn't work, and I totally respect that. I'm sure there are consolidations that have worked well and that haven't worked well. It is my understanding from the knowledge and from people that I have talking to that you can save money on capital costs through consolidation. I understand that operating costs, yeah, and that operating costs generally stay stable and that you have to maintain that level. And so that is the long-term plan then in terms of capital costs and savings around capital costs.
So can you explain about how much, because people say that we are not investing in public safety in the budget, so yeah.
I created this website. You can go there right now if you want. It's fitchburgbudget.com. Essentially, you put in your assessment. I wish I could have you put in your address and I go find your assessment, but I can't. So you put in your assessment, and it will calculate essentially for your specific property that you live in the exact dollar amount that you spend on each department in the city and each line item in the budget. So for this case, this is a $500,000 home, which is the average home in Fitchburg. Can you flip to the department tab?
Where?
Yeah, perfect.
Oh.
So that $5,000 at home, sorry, this is a little hard to see. They spend $600 some dollars on police, $350 on fire EMS, and down below you can click into each department and you can find exact line items, everything that's spent on, whether it's salaries, whether it's whatever you want. And so there's a tab for department, there's a tab for expense type, and that basically breaks it down by salary items, things like that. I am looking for suggestions if you look at this and you see something you would like to see something you want. But this will essentially break down every dollar that you spend in taxes and show you how the city is currently spending it. So I hope you use it. I hope it can become a resource.
I would have a suggestion that you have a comparison to a similar city. Or if somebody's doing this for some other city that's got 35,000 people, that shows a breakdown of how the tax dollars of a $500,000 assessed house compares to what's being spent in Fitchburg. That way somebody can look at it and say, oh yeah, we're spending 10% more on police and fire than a similar city in the state of Wisconsin.
I could probably look at that. I mean, I could look at...
Spending 10% less.
Yeah, I mean, I could look at that from a broad category. I don't know that I could break down like the line items just because it would, I was able to get a spreadsheet of our budget because I know the city. So yeah, I could maybe look at like a broad category and that, and yeah, I could find some comparable cities. That could be something I could look into.
Okay, can we go back so can Ross finish the...
Yeah, sorry, this is Ross. He's gonna...
Can I ask a question about your budget.com?
Yeah.
Which is a nice tool.
Oh,
It's fine, right?
your slides are not here, Ross.
No, we realized that. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
So, are there departments within the city currently that are under budget for, you're halfway through the fiscal year roughly? Are there departments within the city that if you extrapolate out the rest of the year that you're going to be under budget on?
We have that data, but I mean, I don't have it in front of you. But yes, and in the Finance Committee, we receive a report, it's either monthly or quarterly, that shows what you can't really extrapolate, but it will show where we were at this time last year. Because some money you spend a giant chunk in December every year, and so you have to know that. But yes, we have that data.
It's in the finance report we get every month. You can see there like by department.
If you have departments that you know are not going to be, use up their entire budget, why can't you take mid-year, do amendments, because it's all fund balance that's in there anyway, which is moving it. If you get the council to buy in, you can move the fund balance from one fund to the other. You could still pay for staffing the fire department and not take the step you're going to take. Because I think you could either do a couple things. I think there's I get it, you're trying to fix it with the 27 budget. But I think you could fix it with the 26 budget if you just take a look at spending for the balance of the year and say, we're not going to spend this money. Just quit certain things that goes on, or look where you're doing. You had to find money to buy more fuel for police and fire to run around. Somewhere in the budget.
We are still working on short-term solutions, Richard.
There's a way. I think there's a way to get around and continue to put the bore on the engines and do it in the current budget year, and not take it out a year. And now I got one other thing. I'd like to address your comment about rental property and owner-occupied. Because I heard this when I was on the council, because people would come and they would bitch and say, we have too many apartments in Fitchburg. But how do you tell somebody, I don't want to own a home? We have senior apartments now on Fish Hatchery Road. So to make your comment, to me is a rather, I'll just leave it. I think that's wrong, because people want a choice in where they live. And Epic is driving a huge apartment fuel in this county. And I look at apartment pricing and I look at housing prices because I have employees that I want to bring into Dane County, and I'm only too familiar with the apartment rental and housing and duplexes and condos to bring people. So to say we need a moratorium on shutting down housing, You know, look at with the interest rate and what people are trying to come up with for a down payment. I don't think you can do what you want to do, and I don't think it's right what you want to do is to shut people out of a rental market because they choose to rent and not own. And I think that is wrong, and wrong as can be.
So I would love to put together a public forum on rental versus owner versus cost of services, but I also kind of want to keep us on track here. So I'm going to let Ross do his presentation, and then we can have some time for a few more questions.
So I'm Ross Kaler. I'm the city transportation engineer. I've been with Fitchburg for about 4 years now. I work on all the big road reconstruction projects and traffic safety type concerns. I had slides in this slide deck. They've been deleted twice now, so I'm really excited about that. But they're still showing up on my phone for some reason. So I'm going to talk about the Fitch-Rona Road reconstruction project. That was originally scheduled before I started with the city, and now we're finally planning on starting this project in late 2026. So this is going to involve it's going to go from Tonto Trail up to Nesbitt Road where there's a roundabout. This is going to add a roundabout at Lacey and Fitch-Rona. There's going to be a multi-use path from Lacey to Nesbitt with buffered bike lanes on the road. Those also serve to help traffic. If a car breaks down, then you can actually get around it. You know, you can kind of ditch your car off into the buffered bike lanes. We're going to have anti-flooding infrastructure. I think a lot of you have been in the city for a while, have seen the flooding under those bridges by Goose Lake. There's still going to be some flooding there. There's really no way to fix that 100%, but what we're doing with this project is going to help it considerably, and it's going to happen a lot less often. We're also upgrading the sanitary sewer capacity because of some of the new development in that area. And Madison Metropolitan Sewerage District is also upgrading their lift station that's off of Fitch-Rona Road in conjunction with this project. And then we're also doing some work on Goose Lake to help with those flooding issues too. That's part of a separate project way out on the west end of Goose Lake. So this project, like I said, was originally planned, when I came into the city, it was originally planned for 2024. We were supposed to start earlier this year. That's been delayed until fall, and then the major construction is going to happen in 2027 now. We've been dealing with a lot of different stakeholders. It's a joint project with the town of Verona. There's a lot of property owners involved in this area. And then the DNR and WISDOT also have bridges in this area, so we have to work with them. If you're over in that part of town, you might have already seen some of the utility companies start their work. They have to move all of their facilities before we can come in with our road project. We're also going to start tree clearing here in a couple months. That's going to be to support those utility moves because they have to move out of our way of our project. And like I said, major construction in spring 2027. So I can kind of let this presentation conclude, and if you have any questions for me, come find me on this or other road projects.
Do you want to just stay up here and let Patrick ask this question about Irish Lane?
Sure.
What is the rating on Irish between Cyene and Fish Hatchery?
I believe it's either a 3 or a 4.
Which is worse and which is better?
This is out of 10. 10 is the best. 1 is the worst.
Okay, so as it gets down to 1, it's really bad.
Yes, 1 would be like a gravel road. So in the city of Fitchburg, once a road hits a 4, then we try to resurface it within the next 5 years.
Irish Lane was pushed off from 2029 work to 2030 work. So instead of 4 years of rough road, now it's going to be 5 years of rough road. And at the Finance Committee meeting last Monday, our Public Works Director, Tim Volker, was asked about the budget money. There's the grant money. There's some grant that is available starting in 2030, and it's available, as he said, through 2035. That's what he said in the meeting.
Yes, so basically we apply for grants for these road projects. We're going to be awarded that grant for a 2030 construction year, and then usually those grants have a 5-year sunset period for us to complete the project.
And then my alder that I had talked with in advance asked the question that I had asked him, based on what residents of the Greenfield area, and when that master plan was created, they were not interested in water and sewer being connected because they have to connect to sewer. And the question was asked, what about pushing off Irish Lane and all of the major work connected with that to 2035, the last year of the grant, and instead, between now and 2035, maybe don't even mill the thing, hopefully. Simple as possible. Put a couple inches of blacktop on it now, and Tim said that could possibly last for the 10 years, and that pushes off all of this major work that people in the Greenfield area really didn't want. Plus, as I understand it, trying to interpret the CIP, even Tim said some of these CIP project funds were not updated. It still looks like the sewer goes in 2029, which is wrong because it goes along with the road 2030. Water main still, I think, says 2029, but that is also supposed to be pushed to 2030. What if those things were pushed to 2035? So the major work, the whole road, dig it up, widen it, bike lanes, I heard in the past, a curb and gutter and storm sewer. I don't know if that's still in there or not. But push the major project off to 2035, but right now, as soon as possible, pave the thing so it's got a smooth road for the next 10 years.
So is your question
Into as a viable alternative here?
Yes, it is. We were also looking into something similar before we knew when we were going to get this grant. So we are looking at that.
It was kind of locked down of 2029 on the, but actually waiting for the grant to come through, waiting until figuring it was going to be available in 2029. Now that's pushed out to 2030. So what about pushing it out further, but making it a smooth road, which is all I heard that people wanted for now. They're not interested in the water and the sewer because that promotes development. And the main theme that I heard from the residents in Greenfield area, which are members of my neighborhood association, that's why I'm here, was they don't want things that are going to accelerate and promote and enable development of whatever density right around Greenfield. So is it being looked at seriously? Push it out to through to 2035, but pave the road now.
It is being looked at seriously. Paving the road now and pushing it out to 2035 would cost the city more money in the long run. That's the major downside of that plan. But we are looking at it seriously.
And this is what I want to point out. This is what I heard, what people want.
Dane County wanted us to slap 2 inches of pavement on PD, put a Band-Aid on it, and the right thing to do was to dig the thing up and make it quit sinking. Otherwise, we'd all be having it done again. And so I think the gentleman is right. Do it once and just don't do that.
The trouble is that it's 5 years from now. It got pushed out another year. So, like I said, 5 years of rough road.
Yeah, but it's going to cost money to
do that short term, and then it's going to cost even more money to do the road reconstruction in 5 years. Okay.
I just want to say one thing and be clear that just when we put infrastructure, sewer, water under Irish Lane, say that happens in 2030, we are not requiring the residents of Irish Lane to hook up to that infrastructure at that time. And you will not be assessed for that infrastructure at that time until the sewer main comes all the way down due to development. I understand the concern that people think that by us putting that infrastructure there, that encourages people to develop. That is whether that land gets developed is entirely up to the landowner as the land comes down south towards Irish Lane. It is not up to the city. It is not up to me or anyone else or Ross or the traffic engineers designing the studies. It's up to that landowner as to whether or not they want to develop their land.
The sewer is another related point, and what was said before was that the sewer line, inactive, dead end on both ends of it, inactive and available, was going to be put under Irish Lane, and it would only be an active, usable sewer when the main comes from the Cyan Interceptor all the way south to Irish Lane. Now, from what I could figure out from the CIP, that is scheduled to happen in 2030, which means in 2030 it'll be a live sewer.
So it is.
That's the way I read it.
It is not. So that project is in the CIP because we need to plan for it as a city, but that project is dependent upon development happening in that area. It's the city cannot say to that landowner, we are now putting a sewer main underneath your property because we want to. There would be no reason for us to do that. It would cost us a ton of money, and no one would be paying for it because there would be no development in that area. So it is in the CIP because we need to plan for it happening, but it is dependent upon that property developing. So essentially, if we hit 2030 as we go, that project will continue to get pushed back in the CIP.
You're talking about property development between Cyan and, Lacey?
Lacey and Irish.
And Irish?
Yeah.
Otherwise, that connection between Lacey and Irish will not be put in?
That is, yeah, I mean, that is how I understand it. Because the city would just be paying to put in something. When we would put in that water main, we would assess it to the property owner that is developing that property. If we were to put it in without development happening, we would just be paying for it.
Well, side thing there, the water main was put in all along there, and it has one new residential customer.
Yeah, we
can talk that offline for that. Any other, so it's 1935, I think we finished with our presentation and we are open to questions.
Just one, the traffic signal on Osmondson, which end of Osmondson? I'm sorry.
McKee.
On the McKee side?
Yes.
Okay.
So what's in the CIP is 2032, I believe is what it's in there for, is for McKee. And then there's also one in 2037. So I think most people in here could hear me, but just for the recording, 2032 is at Osmondson and McKee, and then 2037 is Osmondson and Lacey. We would push either of those out further if traffic did not meet traffic signal warrants at those intersections.
And then, do you have a map of bus rapid transit, what the proposed is, that we can get off the website or whatever?
Yes, those plans are on the website. It basically comes from the northern border of Fitchburg at Downfish Hatchery, goes into Hatchery Hill, where the bus kind of goes right now into Hatchery Hill. It comes back out onto Fish Hatchery, and then the end of the line is at Triverton Pike and McKee. That's where the charging station will be. So it'll come down basically one stop further than it does now on Fish Hatchery Road.
Thank you.
Have you considered doing it further out Fish Hatchery Road and using a parking right for people who work downtown that come in from Oregon and Stoughton and?
Yes, so I live in Oregon. If it came down that far, I would take that to work every day. But south of McKee, the development there is not dense enough to support bus rapid transit, and that's actually a factor we're graded on with our grant. It's a small starts grant from the federal government. So that's part of the grading, and we couldn't bring it down further because it would tank our grade, basically, because of the development density.
Is parking availability something that's being considered for where exactly that stop will be at Triverton?
So it is something we've talked about. Right now, we don't see very much street parking for people parking and getting on the bus line to go into Madison, where it stops now. So that's not something we're overly concerned about, but there is street parking in the area that's available for, that would be available if people wanted to do that.
Is there any discussion about getting rid of alternate side parking and going to a snow emergency parking?
Yes, there is. So we've talked about that a lot in the past 6 months, basically. Something we're considering, and it would take some work to actually implement that because we don't really have a snow emergency system in place right now, so we'd have to develop it.
Follow the Madison plan.
We would mirror.
Say snow emergency, it's a snow emergency for more than just the city of Madison.
That is something we're considering, yeah.
And you gotta remove all the alternate side parking signs.
That's a minor thing. We can do that pretty easy.
Can I just say, we would consider the Madison snow emergency system. I'm not proposing we do the Madison plowing guidelines, just so everyone is clear on that. Yeah.
I guess circling back to concerns regarding the current proposal for the fire department reduction in staffing. I'm going to kind of piggyback off what Richard said. You know, I worked 30 plus years for another municipality, and I'm pretty well familiar with municipal budgeting. And one thing you can say about budgeting is when you put together a budget, it's your best guess of what you think is going to happen. But oftentimes, unexpected things happen. Now, the current situation you find yourself in, unfortunately, should have been expected. You knew it could be coming based on prior decisions, but it wasn't acted upon. You didn't get the additional firefighters that you needed. There's no accounting for routine things that happen in public safety. Firefighters get injured, people get off for family medical leave, vacations, sick time. All that needs to be covered and accounted for. Your overtime budget wasn't big enough. You wouldn't have needed a bigger budget if you had had the personnel there, but on two prongs, the city council failed on that. You find yourself in a totally expected situation right now. You're beyond your, I'll call it an artificial budget line item that you're obsessing over. The city of Fitchburg has access to a contingency fund. I know it's required to have it under state law. This is the time when you need to dip into that, to cover it till the end of the year. The answer is not to just obsess over a flat line item and say we're just going to do without. Because the way this city is growing, which we've talked about, the number of apartment buildings, and the number of calls, and I said this in my social media post, people think that every call that occurs in this city is a one event only. Do you realize how many times in this city that there are overlapping calls and your current resources are totally used up? In that instance, when worst case scenario, you want to cut on your overtime staffing of your engines. If that happens to be on both your engines that are staffed right now, as Chief Grossman described, and they're both short one person, you're now down to 6 people in this city. If one of them is tied up on a call, and the next one comes into a major incident, they've got 3 people to do an awful lot of work in a short period of time. It's not going to happen. You are putting the firefighters at risk, you're putting the community at risk. You need to do something to find the money now. Don't just say we're going to work on it. We're going to, quote, find the money. If you're going to find the money, find it now. Find some low priority things to say we're not going to do that right now. Don't just throw your hands up and hope for the best. Get rid of some of the fun stuff that you have out there. Because I'll tell you one thing that's not fun is going to a firefighter funeral. That's as plain as I can say. As far as your referendum goes, I would totally agree with it. That was structured wrong from the beginning. Up until that time when that referendum came out, I believe around Wisconsin it became very popular to do public safety referendums. They were passing at about an 83% rate. Here's my take on what happened. I understand that the city wanted a lot of things. They knew that public safety was a popular thing that the community would support. What they do, throw in everything but the kitchen sink in that and think that public safety would carry that. And it didn't. You need to start over. Redo a referendum with a very specific public safety initiative and nothing more. That's how you're going to get out of this mess.
No, I think, yeah. I think you're right with some of the stuff. There were a lot of things that we, after looking after the referendum after the fact, we can go and say all the things that it went wrong. We learned our lesson from that referendum. But the other thing is, at that moment, the council wanted to do a referendum that's fair. So we wanted to, there are other needs in other departments inside City Hall. This is what we added 4 additional positions.
Assume for a minute that based on some of the comments that I heard tonight, and this is pretty universal across most municipalities, citizens support public safety. That is like at the top of their list. And if you've got to make tough choices, that's not where you go. You have to look deeper than that.
I agree, but going back to the 4 to 3 people in the engine is one of the recommendations that the chief approached us and said this is a way that we can reduce significantly the overtime. We are not going to reduce the overtime. This is why we still have the contingency fund, because we have 7 months to finish the year. So we need to also have some contingency fund that you mentioned. We need to keep it for the additional overtime that the department will create, even with 3 people in the engine, okay? So if the chief of fire come to me and say, I think we can do this from 4 to 3. Most of the municipalities surrounded our municipality, they are using 3 people in the engine. I think I'm gonna take his word, because as a chief, that if he doesn't have mayors, he has some concern, but he's coming with that position or solution. In the short term, I think we can accommodate. And it's always going to happen. You can have 4 people in the engine. Is that 4 people doesn't create overtime? And the idea is that the pay on call can also cover the 4 position. So, and I want to tell you, yes, we are looking for short-term solution and long-term solution. And I think your point is very valid. We are going to continue working to see if we can find the money this year. Okay? But all the 2026 overtime budgeted was gone in May, and we have 7 more months to go.
It's an artificial number. It's a number.
But you expect the overtime, if you look at the monthly report for the fire department, the overtime in the fire department on average is $50,000, $60,000 a month.
Yeah, why? Because of the failures in the past. You need to own that. And
I own it. I own it. And since I became mayor, I have added 3 full-time positions to the fire department. 3 full positions added to the fire. I did a reclassification for the officer to lieutenant. So it's not like I haven't done anything from the fire department.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying
it's saying like I am not doing anything from the fire department.
Is the notion of cutting back staffing is not a threat to public safety. It is, and it should not be tolerated.
Yeah, and you're right. Yeah, we understand that.
Let me remind you, in the last year, we had 2 fire fatalities in this city. We are not small, little, sleepy town anymore. This is a big city with high risk. How can you ignore that? Do those things not mean anything?
We are not ignoring, we are not ignoring the situation.
I have a question about earlier in the presentation, when you were talking about your responsibilities, you put up a list of 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 different things that you thought were really important. You know where public safety was on that list?
I didn't put it in order. I didn't put it in order.
When I look at a list like that, somebody is telling me what their priority is.
No, I'm sorry, sir.
Priority for public safety is number 5.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, sir. Don't put those words. It's not like that. This is where priority and are all equally important, and it doesn't mean that.
What the gentleman is pointing out to you very well is, it is not a priority for you.
It is a priority for me.
If it's a priority, you're not addressing it directly. If you addressed it directly, you would generate the funds to accomplish police and fire safety. Because it is, for most people here, the number one priority. So by doing what you're doing, you are saying it's not a priority for you because you're not addressing it for the people of this city.
They are addressing, the city of Fitchburg is addressing it. They might not be addressing it in the way that you agree with, but there is work and effort going. And I think as we have these type of public discourse, we should really be respectful and maintain a level of decorum for these type of discourse.
Thank you.
There are a lot of communities that have in their charter, based on their population, minimum staffing for fire and police. And every time that increase in population, it's mandated that they increase the public safety funding. I think Fitchburg needs to consider some sort of, not so much an ordinance, but a part of the charter that says, based on our population, these are the minimums we have to have. And every time we add another 5,000 people or whatever, we're going to add fire and police that it statutorily has to be done. It's not a, well, should we do it or not? It's the number one priority that everybody agrees.
I want to explain you another thing for people that how the budget work and the levy limit constraint that we have. You know, if you are you're running a private company, like I see it in my company, when inflation start affecting your cost, the company what it does immediately increase our fees that we charge to our clients, you know, to cover that. In the city of in municipality here in Wisconsin, the state tell us how much we can increase our revenue. And then we have all these costs, they're coming, increasing every year. You know, we have inflation now at 4.2. We just received an estimate on how much our health insurance will be for our employees for next year is an 8%. Last year was 9% increase and 6% increase on the dental and the retirement fund that we need to add. So if you see all those costs increasing, we cannot increase our revenue, our cost increases. And this is what happened with the levy limit structure that was implemented, I don't know, 15 years ago. And then eventually we have that gap. A municipality, like I want to tell you, in most of our departments are understaffed. You know, maybe we don't say it. It's more not. We can notice no more in the fire and the police department and EMS, but every department inside City Hall is understaffed, and people are still, you know, trying to. We are always continue looking for how to improve and be more efficient and use technology to free up capacity, because we are doing all these great things, services that I think we provide with the limited resources. So this is something that where we are, and every year it's becoming tougher and tougher to put together a budget. 85% of our budget is to pay wages, benefit, and retirement for our employees. So the 25% is to, you know, for some street reconstruction, supplies, vehicle repair, the gasoline for the car, 25%. So, and if we need to add more people, you know, sometimes when we put together, we don't have the capacity every year to at least to hire, to add more staffing in the budget. An average, a firefighter costs us $150,000. It's the same with a police officer, because it's not only salary, it's payroll taxes, you know, benefit, health insurance, and retirement. So, and usually the city of Fitchburg is growing, and we have a healthy net new construction. The net new construction for 27, we think is going to be 2.5%. That's it. And I have a 4.2% inflation plus an 8% of increase in the health insurance for all of the employees. So we are going to start the year in a very bad position like last year. Last year we were able to balance the budget with the vehicle registration fee that helped us, and also we reduced and we eliminate a lot of waste. I had to go and ask each head of the department and say, go to your budget. You don't want me to go and take stuff from, because I don't know, go and start reducing stuff. Or things that we don't need to do, or things that we have to be delayed. So, and they did that, and we were able to find. But this is where we are currently, with the, when we put together a budget. We have a lot of constraints. And it's becoming more and more difficult to put together a budget. The other thing is where we can ask when people say, "Oh, Julia, you are spending too much money," or you start cutting services. Okay, this is an opportunity that I want to ask you a question, and it's in the survey. What do you want us to cut?
Library.
Library.
$600,000 into tax-exempt organizations.
No, it's not 600,000. It's $5,000 a year.
It's $600,000 in the last 7 years.
No. Okay, it's $5,000, $50,000. Okay, so you want to cut the library? Okay, H&I.
I vote don't cut money for the library, and that's the difficulty, is that there's always going to be such a wide difference of opinion. And
but I want to tell you something, so you can see. We can say, okay, we are not going to cut the grass in the park once a month. We can reduce a lot of money, isn't it there? I want to tell you the email that I get from residents. I get email from residents complaining that when we cut the grass, we don't cut the grass even in the parks. Okay? So put it on my place. I hear people that are saying, "Oh, we want this, why you don't do it?" And then, so.
Mayor, can I add?
Yes.
So I also think we're kind of taking a very two-dimensional look at what public safety is. And yes, we need more cops and firefighters and EMTs, but helping parents get to their jobs and having dependable public transportation is public safety, and making sure that kids have a roof over their head and their parents can pay for meals for them, that all contributes to safe communities. So saying just adding 15 more cops is going to decrease the crime rate to XYZ rate is just not how it works in a city, and all of these things contribute to a safe city.
Yeah. That's a great comment. So my question, I guess, to the council and the mayor now is, what's your 10-year plan for safe communities?
We are continuing investing in the Healthy Neighborhood Initiative program.
Well, where can we go look and see what
everything is in?
We mentioned earlier that we are updating the city's comprehensive plan. That is the 10-year plan. So that incorporates when people hear that we're passing all these plans, bike and pedestrian plan and the housing plan and all of the plans. All of those plans are incorporated into the comprehensive plan, and then the comprehensive plan is the roadmap for what we do for the next 10 years. So that is where that would go.
Plan from 10 years ago.
What's that?
How are we doing with the comprehensive plan from 10 years ago?
I mean, you can look at it. It's out on the website. We've made progress on a lot of the items. I mean, some of the items. The thing with the 10-year ago plan is 5 years into that plan, the world turned upside down. And so a lot of the priorities in that plan aren't priorities anymore. I mean, if we talk about wanting to build office space as a development project, that's not a thing that we're going to prioritize anymore, because that just isn't, no one wants that. So we made progress on a lot of things in that plan, and a lot of things got changed or updated. And we look at that and go on as we go. That's why the plans that incorporate into that plan,
and the other thing I want to mention, when we start with the new comp plan, there's going to be a lot of input from the community. There are going to be a lot of work groups and open houses, and you will have the opportunity to come. Please participate, because we want you to participate every day. Last year, when we put together our budget, and the night that we approved our budget, no one showed up. No one showed up. And the budget was out for 2 months, because the budget, I had to have the budget ready by September 18, and we voted November 10. It's almost 2 months that the budget is there. No one showed up. I think we got one email. So this is our opportunity to reach out to us, to be participant. This is what we're doing this listening session. It's good for us to hear everything, the bad, the good, the thing that we need to improve. And I know that we have this issue with the two departments. I know that, guys. Do you think that I can sleep at night? You know, no. We know that I have two of the biggest department under staff. I know that. We know that.
I just want to say, as a wife of a firefighter and a mother of a firefighter, what I've heard over many, many years is that the council seems to think that they know best. And so when your experts in the field, whether it be the fire chief, EMS chief, whoever it is, when they come and they say, this is how we can prevent overtime, this is what we need, and the council seems to think they know better, or their finance director knows better, and they say, no, but we're going to hold you to this overtime budget, when in fact a solution came from the people that were in the know. That is a real concern for me. The other thing is, honestly, as a mother and a wife, if one of my kids or my husband would get killed, you can bet that there would be a lawsuit. Is the city aware of that? Are they willing to pay for someone besides going to the funeral? I mean, you've got to think about all those things, but what I challenge you is to really look at the experts that are coming to you with a solution, and not think that you, as a common council, a mayor, or whoever, knows better.
No.
And that's what I challenge you to do.
Okay.
I have a savings.
Yeah. What?
I have a savings to propose. The tennis court contract, $300,000 of property taxes, direct from property taxes and from TID funds, and TIDs are supposed to help property taxes. The $300,000 should have been canceled. I don't know if it was, but the council voted for it and shouldn't have. Micah was not there. The Wildwood, which is a District 4, does not need $50,000. It needs $50 worth of repair. And replacing the entire Swan Creek tennis court is not more important than the fire department or the police. So I tried to point out in the limited 3 minutes at the council meeting that I, in one way, found $70,000. If you go ahead with it, despite what I said, if you go ahead with it, well, if you cancel it, which I hope happened, and I'm not sure it did, that's $300,000 in property taxes that's available for somewhere else. If you go ahead with it, which I opposed, I said that I found $70,000 in property tax savings. Nobody asked me what the details were. And if I counted a different way, it's $110,000 in savings. Nobody's asked me what that is. That contract should have been canceled, and I don't know why the whole council voted for it, but the council did put conditions on it and was assured several times over, because I watched the council replay several times. Our deputy administrator, Adam Sayer, assured the council that if the numbers weren't right and everything, and it was bid wrong in the first place and everything, that he was not going to execute the contract. And it's recorded. You said so. And I'm worried that Adam Sayer, with the support of Eric Schreiner, parks manager, is pushing it ahead anyway by finagling and fudging the numbers and moving the numbers around and doing some crazy stuff with the numbers to try and push this ahead. It's for tennis courts.
The funding for those tennis courts are coming from park dedication fees, Patrick.
No, it's not. Can't be.
Okay.
It's not. It cannot eligible for replacement.
Okay.
I was told property tax and TID closure.
Okay. We have another question.
In fact, Eric told me that.
So, as a resident of the city, I feel like every year I see my taxes skyrocketing to the point where I start to question with my wife if I can continue to live in this community at the rate at which taxes are increasing. I hear you up there, Mayor, saying that you're cutting costs, you're asking these budgets for these departments to make tough decisions. I follow your Facebook page, I follow the city's Facebook pages. Everything I see is we have to cut public safety. I would like you to please share some of what other departments outside of public safety have been asked to cut, or hard decisions they've had to make over the last couple of years. because I know we've added several positions at City Hall. What other expenses are getting cut? What other hard decisions are being made to help balance this budget besides promoting an image of doom and gloom about public safety is getting cut, rile everyone up, get them in here? What other hard decisions have been made? Second part of my question is, could you please tell us about how you are working with all of these many department heads we have now to really give them some autonomy to make the hard decisions for their department? How are they being asked to evaluate their budgets and how to prioritize the decisions they're making? What guidance have you given them?
Yes, last week or 2 weeks ago, an email was sent to all of the head of department with some of the guidelines for how to prepare for the 2027 budget. And one of those was there are not going to be any new funding position, only the mayor can add position. And the other one is we also send it like a worksheet with what are the things that we shouldn't be doing and how much it's going to cost, save money. So they do that exercise every year. We started with that process last year. So each department comes with some idea and saying, I don't think that we should do this because it's going to save some amount of money. We are doing that. The process started like 2 weeks ago, where the head of the department are practically working through their budget. So this is something that we implemented last year and continue this year. So what is the first one?
What are some examples of other hard decisions, other cuts that other departments have had to realize outside of the public safety? So what I see is very much a social media presence around, we have to cut public safety, we need, getting everyone riled up around that. What I never see in your Facebook posts or in your media presence is, we had to stop mowing this park for a month. We had to cut.
You can imagine if I do that, they're going to come to my house.
What I'm not seeing is where are the other, these hard decisions. I'm hearing you say we had to cut, we had to stretch the balance. What were some of these other things that were done by the city in other departments? I don't care if they're not glorious, glamorous, and paint a giant picture that gets everyone riled up. I just like to hear, how are some of these non-public safety cuts?
Well, with this, okay, can you mention about the...
I mean, like this one's, like I said, this isn't glamorous. So we just did our plan around forestry in the city, just got completed. And, you know, this isn't we chose to, not trim our trees, but basically we trim our trees in the city every 7 to 8 years, a tree in the city tree, and it should be every 4 to 5. And that's not we decided to do this, but that is over time, our budget for forestry has stayed exactly what it is because we can't increase it, and we get more trees and we have more stuff in the city and we have more things, and so that goes down and down and down. And so it's not necessarily that we are saying services get cut, but it's similar to what is happening here is that as a city grows and it increases and the budget can't increase along with it, those services just naturally go down less and less and less. And so it's not we made this decision right here, right now, but it is a gradual reduction of services as the city grows.
So here's the crux of the question, and I get asked this a lot by my neighbors, which is if we are adding all of these buildings, we have built tons of apartments, tons of commercial buildings, we've got great development going on in this city, why are we not capturing enough revenue to offset the costs that come by growing your city? Because every time a city gets bigger, it gets more expensive to live there, but the tax base should be being raised enough to cover the cost of those services. And I'm wondering, is it because we have too much tied up in our TIDs? And if so, when do we have TID closings coming up and how much relief can we expect from that?
It's because of levy limits. So, and that is the answer. So when
levy limit is set by your net new construction.
Your net new construction.
It's going to be set.
Exactly. So we build a big apartment building. Say it's gigantic and it increases the city by 1%. That 1% covers the services for that apartment building. That covers that apartment building. What it doesn't cover is the inflation for the rest of the city that already exists. And so it all gets pooled together into one big thing.
And it's being put on the existing homeowners.
Well, you could also say that the new development is paying for some of the inflation on the new homeowners as well. Because if there was no new development, that inflation would still occur and we would be able to raise taxes zero. So take the event where there's no new development. We'd still have 8% inflation in health insurance and 6% in dental insurance. We'd still have to hire new firefighters in the next cycle.
But the value of our homes have also increased by that much, which means our taxes have gone up that much.
No.
But with no net new construction, it would not. So assessments and taxes are not.
Right.
That's not how it works. But just take my example for a second. A 0% net new construction. We would be falling less and less and less and less every year.
So in your example, you're saying that inflation would go up 4%, say?
Yes.
But your assessments wouldn't go up 4%?
The tax revenue to the city would stay exactly the same, and the cost of city services would go up 4% every year. And so those services would just get cut by 4% every year.
So then where's the benefit in all the growth?
The benefit of the growth is the growth allow us to keep with the existing services, to pay for existing services. This is where the growth.
But not enough to pay for the expansion that's required.
You're 100% correct, and that is the flaw in the levy limit system. Levy limit accounts for paying for the new construction in the city, and it doesn't allow an inflation adjustment on the rest of the city.
So that's not a surprise.
And so
how can we not? I mean, I
you can't.
don't understand.
That's why
why fire and police ended up being a surprise to everybody. I guess I don't know.
You referenced private business. In a private business, when this process happens, the private business goes through and does cut what needs to be cut for them to stay in business. If that means cutting staff, they'll cut staff. You're in the same situation in a public entity. You're in a situation where you've got a budget process where your costs are going up and they're exceeding your revenues. You basically have no choice but to cut staff because you've mentioned that it's probably 80% of your costs.
But I cannot cut, if I am telling you that we are already understaffed in every department in the city and you ask me to cut staff, so if we cut staff, we need to cut drastically services because we are not going to have the staff.
Cut services.
Cut services.
Well, what's
your alternative? Okay,
I will ask you the question that I ask all of you. Tell me what services you want me to cut. You have the survey.
I have a question.
Tell me.
Maybe you can answer. On these housing initiatives and on the healthy neighborhood initiatives, how much is the city spending on consulting fees each year?
Tonight we don't pay consulting fees.
Oh, you're bringing in consultants on all these housing initiatives?
Oh, for the housing, we the consultant that did the housing plan. This is what you're talking. It was paid with the housing.
I want to know how we can find out how much you are paying advisors or outside experts that you're accessing for plans. You're talking about somebody developing the comprehensive plan. You're paying them. They're not doing this gratis.
No.
How many dollars are you spending for that?
I don't remember the exact amount, but the amount was saved when we did the tax, one of the teeth closure.
I went to a meeting on one of these housing initiatives, and the total that they referenced in that housing initiative, it was for a rent-to-buy process and a couple other...
oh, I know what you're talking.
And it cost, you spent $300,000 paying people to come up with these proposals.
No, I don't think that we paid $300,000. It was less than
I don't know what it is either.
I don't remember. I had to look.
Where we can find something like that out, or if you can find it out and communicate it.
Everything is in the website, because all of that came through resolution, and the council had to approve those consultants. So everything is saved there. I don't remember the exact amount because I have too many numbers that I had to. But we didn't pay more than $70,000 for those consultants. I want to tell you that for sure.
Well, I'd like to know how much you're spending on all across the board for everything that you're doing.
Most of the consultants that we hire are are for engineer consulting because they help our engineer department with some of the consulting.
I can understand that.
I just want to say too, like,
Yeah.
I know that you don't agree with the fact that we created the Affordable Housing Fund, and that's fine. We can have disagreements on how we do things in the city. That's totally fair. But that fund was funded, long before I was here, and that money is there now, and it is by law only allowed to be used for housing support. And so when we talk about, like whether or not this fund is a good idea or not, it is there, and we can't like reallocate this money to something else.
What I'm concerned about is that just in this $10 million fund, you're using that money in great part to hire consultants or hire advisors.
No, we hired only one consultant.
I'm going to get to you in 1 second because I know you've been.
It was the consulting firm that helped the city staff to put together the housing plan. That's it.
I do agree with the gentleman though, like there should be efforts to review and reassess areas that can be cut when it comes to contracting and implementing technologies. So I know with FLOC we're saving a lot now.
Yeah, part of the issue is that if you're going to have a program and you don't have a consultant to do it, then you're asking staff to do it, and we're talking about what staff you want us to cut. And so I get that it's all tied up with each other, but
So
your point is
maybe you go
taken.
back to the first statement, if you're going to have a program. If you don't have the money, don't have the program.
Well, the money is in the affordable housing
I
fund.
realize it's there now.
You've been waiting.
Not to be one to just simply complain without offering solutions. I know you're coming into a budget year, and here's something else you might want to consider. We talk a lot about the expense side of things. And I understand there was a, kind of a little spirited discussion about the whole wheel tax and things like that. But revenue does have to be considered. I don't even know if you know this answer, but I'm going to follow a blueprint that the city of Middleton did 23 years ago. We talk about development. All the developers coming in, and of course the impact that has on the city, everything from plan review to building inspection to permitting to whatever it is out there. They made the decision that there was going to be no subsidization of the city of developers' initiatives. And through their fee structures, they actually got to a point where their building inspection and plan reviews and all that stuff actually generated profit for the city. I don't know if you've ever run the numbers, but I would suggest that you also look at all of your revenue sources. I don't know when's the last time you've even went back and looked at your fee structures.
We see those, we look at those every year when we put together the budget.
Give me the answer right now. Are you turning a profit on that?
We are, with some of the permits, depending on the year. We have a year we have a lot of housing building. Yeah, we are getting more revenue coming from permits than we budget. Yes.
Across the board. So in other words, you're saying that.
And you can also see those numbers in the monthly report that are the stuff put together.
It's great if it's happening.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, every nickel that the city of Milton spends on staff support, you name it, across the board, is paid for and then some every year.
Yeah,
that department operates for free.
Yeah, we have revenue from all of those permits.
We get revenue. The question is how much.
But they are saying that Fitchburg has one of the highest fees too. You know what I mean? So
you seem to be, when the developers come in, it's like it's part of their,
I know, I agree.
Projections when they do a project. So I think it's an avenue to seriously.
Yeah, we review those fees every year when we put together the budget. But there are some fees that we can increase. They have some threshold that the state established to us. So there is a lot of things, but we do it every year. Yes.
We're going long.
Please,
here.
can
We're
you
going
fill out the
long.
form?
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you for coming. It's 2018, so the last question. Last question? Okay, thank you. No, you're done.
No, you're done. Yeah, you don't get any more questions. You've used up your allotment.
Thank you everyone for coming and from all your feedback, recommendation.
Thank you for coming.
No, thank you. Thank you. No, yeah.